But first, with political correctness rampant right across our educational system in everything from how to consent classes at university to preschools petitioning for the Aboriginal flag to be flown on the Sydney Harbour Bridge 365 days of the year, how wonderful is it today to see a rare outbreak of not-so-common common sense? Back in 2001, so about 18 years ago, the New South Wales education system dropped the requirement that every student take maths or science right up to leaving school. Now, almost 2 decades of comparative decline in school students' academic performance has prompted the Berejiklian government to reinstate the requirement that every high school student must study maths right up to Year 12. Now, for years we've lamented falling standards in our school system. Australia's dropped down the global rankings and our children finishing school without the proficiency their parents and grandparents once attained in literacy and numeracy. On almost every educational measure, Australian students are being failed by a system that puts fads and educational fashions ahead of the basics. I did have to laugh today, although it is no joke, that it's taken government 18 years to work out that if students don't learn maths, guess what? They're hardly likely to do well in maths tests when tested. It's not rocket science, is it? But it beggars belief that for all the recent talk about the importance of maths to the digital world ahead, we've been allowing our kids to drop out of maths as quickly as we have. And it matters. In 2019, not only is basic maths a necessity of life, it's also an essential component of so many important jobs from accountancy to electronics. Without maths, our students are losing an essential thinking skill, and they also risk having too many career options and paths shut to them, all made more difficult if they don't study maths. But it's not just maths for further academic studies' sake. How often have you, for instance, noticed a young shop assistant reach for a calculator to work out your change when you give them a $10 note for a $5.40 loaf of bread? Let's face it, as Australians, it's pretty easy for us to get complacent or to take success for granted. Sure, we've got plenty of great natural resources, a generally harmonious society, and by and large we're good and decent people, but the main guarantor of future success is not what's under the ground, it's what's between our ears and how hard we want to work. That's why soft option schooling with an entertainment curriculum rather than maths, science, history, the great books of the world and perhaps foreign languages, without all of these things, the current curriculum is so subversive of our long-term success. Even worse, I have to say, is the politicking that some teachers are encouraging impressionable young people to prioritise instead of their schooling. Or, as we saw yesterday, this tripe that somehow 3-year-old kids in kindergarten are fighting for Indigenous rights when they signed a petition to fly the Aboriginal flag atop the Harbour Bridge every day of the year, and not just those days that mark a significant Indigenous occasion. So tonight, hats off to the New South Wales government, and let's all hope it's a sign of more back-to-basics approaches to education right around the country, marked by better discipline in the classroom and more rigour in the syllabus. I just hope now that the Minister actually sees this through and doesn't allow the usual education union types to kill it off behind the scenes. Already there's been complaints today that there won't be enough maths teachers to fill the demand. Again, that's hardly a surprise. If we don't require students to do maths all the way through to Year 12, well, it's fairly apparent we won't have the students graduating with enough maths knowledge to be the teachers we need to teach maths again. It's a vicious circle. That's how it works. Maybe we need to start teaching some clear thinking classes as well as a bit of maths. Let's start with the clear thinking down in the public service first.